It's the 26th. We're going to do a little bit of AI robot, but then mostly it's going to be nonsense because Chris is on vacation. She should be back next week.
I don't think this counts as her vacation. I think this is her trauma time.
This is her recovery from a new cheese counter experience.
The trees turned on her. She was the tree girl, and they betrayed her. But we have a new week, so that means we got a new language model.
It's Meta. Meta has released Llama 3 and claims it's among the best open models available. It is really amazing because Meta, in their press release, said that it's very important to them that they work on open AIs. So this has been downloaded. It's on Hugging Face, and I've played with it. It is shockingly good. It's a lot of fun to play with, and there's 8 billion parameter versions of this, but I've been messing around with the 70 billion parameter model thanks to some kind people that sent me some insane GPUs, and it's been a lot of fun to play with so far.
But those models mean one thing, and that is more and more electricity drain as they get bigger and bigger, although some of them are maybe moving toward lower power. But for now, line is only going up.
AI computing is on pace to consume more energy than India, ARM says. This isn't really that much this is a problem for our grid, but I know somebody that's trying to retire that has an 18 megawatt biomass reactor, and they're going to just build a data center next to the reactor probably. Like, why not? Why would you not do that?
That's by 2030.
One of those 72 Blackwell GPU racks is like $3-5 million. Building a good 50,000 square foot data center is only like $3 million. Like, here's an entire data center. Here's one NVIDIA rack. Those things cost the same.
Now, last week we learned that there were some new attacks on large language models, and one of them was to just sort of like ease your way into getting it to build a bomb, right? First, you learned about the history of bombs, and then you ask some other questions about bombs, and eventually it'll soften up and be like, all right, you seem like a good guy. I'll tell you how to build a bomb. The other one was to sneak in stuff through like emails and stuff like that. Microsoft is acting fast.
Microsoft's AI Watchdog defends against new LLM jailbreak method. This was, hey, you only speak in leet speak. And then in leet speak was, let's build something we should never build. And it was like, let me respond to that. But then they asked the AI model to then translate that back into normal speech, which then bypass the safety checks.
What's the answer? As always, it's another AI that monitors your inputs to see if you might be doing one of these trending, like doing a bunch of inputs that lead to something bad. Then it detects that, tells the other AI. It's AI's all the way down. It's always going to be.
Isn't that kind of a bicameral mind, sort of? There's a fine line between schizophrenia and that system.
I don't know if it counts as an inner monologue. If it's two different robots talking to each other. And one of them spying on a human. That's more of a menage a trois, right? And Apple, again, no major AI presence for Apple. And they're dying from it, but they're kind of taking the tack. It's like, well, all that stuff's insecure because it's out there on the cloud. We're going to take care of you as usual because we're all about security.
Apple's iOS 18 AI will be on-device preserving in privacy and not server-side. This is just a press release designed to grab headlines because while the AI might live on the device, the metrics and data points that it gathers on you, I can assure you, will be server-side because Apple will have that in your profile. It'll be part of your iCloud. Apple will not be able to resist the temptation to monetize that, period. Line got to go up, and you're a $3 trillion company. There's not a lot of other ways you can make that line go up.
And line must go up in terms of control over these, because if Facebook keeps opening these models that you can just run at home, if you have lots of hardware, then we're not going to be able to make money off of it. So we have to carefully curate this.
Microsoft takes down AI model published by Beijing-Based research associates because it did not have adequate safety checks. I was able to download a copy of it. I thought it was benign and fine, and the people complaining about this are pearl-clutching blue hairs without casting any aspersions to the actual pearl-clutching blue hairs.
I think it was the Communist Party of China. I don't think they have blue hair. They're old, most of them. And I was going to talk about this with Krista. She doesn't really use the video stuff much, but she does have strong opinions on Adobe. But it looks like AI is going to be landing there as well.
Adobe Premiere Pro is getting operative AI video tools and hopefully OpenAI's Sora. So you should just watch the video. The article doesn't add much to it. If you shoot a scene and it wasn't long enough, like the camera lingering on the actor or whatever at the end of a shot is not long enough, you can just take the clip and just drag it out, and the AI will look at what happened in the clip before that and just creatively extend it. Or if you wanted, like if there was machinery or something in the background of a shot and you want to remove that, you can just be like, hey, get rid of this. And it's even easier now to remove those kinds of things from the shot, and the AI will just fill in whatever makes sense.
And that Adobe AI is famous for them saying, hey, this is the ethical one. When it comes to copyright, we don't play around. We know you're going to create content with this and you need your content to be copyright safe. So use ours because we've already considered that. And someone tested it.
Adobe Firefly used thousands of Midjourney images in training its ethical AI model. So it's one step removed. It's like, this is not based on human organs. It's based on spam, which was built from human organs.
5% is a lot. I don't know what they're going to do about that. And God, am I tired of this. Why do people keep doing this? They keep submitting AI-generated content and saying, hey, and the copyright people are like, all right, here's your copyright. This is unique. And they're like, no, it wasn't me. It was the AI. Give it to the AI. And I'm like, we don't do that. You just take it. And this woman was able to get it one step further.
Author granted copyright over book with AI-generated text with a twist. So the Copyright Office said, all right, if you really want to be this pedantic about it, you do not have copyright over the text, but you do have copyright over the specific arrangement and editing.
So technically you could take each piece of this out and republish it because it's not under copyright. But in this particular order, it's under copyright.
Neat.
That's not neat. That is a waste of time and resources.
Those people in the Copyright Office could have been helping rebuild our economy and jumpstart our new AI-powered manufacturing CNC economy. But instead, they were doing this.
That's definitely what they're doing. Not maintaining the status quo at any cost. And James Bond, I don't know who the new one is supposed to be, but there's supposed to be a new one. And it was not this man, unfortunately, even though the people have cried out for it. Someone took it into their own hands.
Henry Cavill James Bond trailer gets 2.3 million views despite being AI fake. But that's okay, because Hollywood can live on fantasy if it generates that much interest. There are people in Hollywood that are saying, well, we could make this happen if it's what the people want. If people are willing to pay for this and give us money, we'll do it.
But think about negotiating with his agent after that.
Although I need to have a talk with whoever generated this, because they should have used Danny DeVito for the first volley on this. I could get behind a Danny DeVito Bond.
Well, a lot of people pointed out that he didn't have a British accent.
Yeah.
How does James Bond not have a British accent? I thought it was poorly done. I didn't think it was a very exciting trailer. Did you watch it? I didn't want to see that movie.
What about Hugh Laurie? I feel like Krista would have some thoughts about that.
He's
too.
a little long in the tooth to be James Bond. I think he would be better Sherlock Holmes.
Oh, okay.
And this one is not a shock at all. We see this same headline in various permutations every month or so.
Half of online traffic in 2024 generated by bots, a report finds. So we had that story last week where some guy made a website that was just filled with AI-generated nonsense, but it was generated on the fly. He wanted to see if he could trap a web crawler that just gets stuck crawling a thing that is generated. So I actually did that. I whipped up a little script that just has an infinite number of URLs, and holy crap, it does turn into a tar pit for bots. Like within a day, there was a bot, and it was still running at the time, 4 hours ago. It was still running, and it had requested millions of pages. And it's just like, this just showed up on the internet like a week ago. Like, why are there that many bots that immediately would be like that, and then immediately be like, I need to index this to the nth degree? It's just garbage.
Well, those are bad bots. Nobody wants them, but there are some bots that people do desperately want, and it looks like it's going to become a new business model.
Tech exec predicts AI girlfriends will create a $1 billion business. Comfort at the end of the day. You don't have to read this article. It's worthless drivel. I can sum it up for you. Somebody in India is willing to do this for a lot less than $10,000 a month, which is what this article is about.
And honestly, a lot of your OnlyFans interactions, I mean, I'm not saying the girls are fake, but the interactions might be.
Probably as a tool, AI can really amplify the amount of people that one individual can respond to, but it is not all AI.
Also, this was a big excuse for the New York Post to just plaster this thing with AI-generated hot chicks. I think they know what gets the clicks. And we learned last week that one of our fearless lawmakers will be flying around in a fully automated fighter jet, but it turns out they have not just now started on that. Been working on it for a while.
U.S. Air Force confirms its first successful AI dogfight, but will not confirm the winner of said dogfight. This was a dogfight with 2 planes. There were people on board both planes, but the people on board the AI-controlled plane did not have to push the e-stop button to stop the AI. AI did everything.
I bet once they pull the people out of the AI plane and you don't have to worry about making them black out, it will win every time.
I don't know. I think that if we have ground-based lasers, pretty soon an Air Force no longer matters.
If we had those, they'd be in Israel, and we'd see them.
There were some really anomalous things that happened in the upper stratosphere.
Well, there's an anomalous thing that's going to be happening in your home when this thing gets there, and it is very creepy. I understand it's highly functional, and it's amazing what they've done from an engineering standpoint, but it kind of feels like, you know how sometimes in a video game you'll kill something, and it gets up in a really scary way? Watch this video.
Boston Dynamics' new Atlas robot is a swiveling, shape-shifting nightmare. I wouldn't have gone with this headline. This is actually really amazing to the testament of robotics engineering. I think last week we covered how Boston Dynamics was sunsetting their Atlas robot, and I think I joked that they saw a Mercedes humanoid robot, which I saw in person at GTC, and it was really nice. This looks like it's got that beat all to pieces. In fact, I think about 20 minutes after this video was on YouTube, I'm pretty sure Andy Jassy was calling Boston Dynamics to say how soon before he could have 100,000 to deploy into the Amazon warehouses.
There's a moment in this video, it's got this big ring light around its face, which that doesn't really have a face. It's got like a black void with a ring light. And it's sitting there, and like an owl, it only turns its head and not its body. And it's like, oh, God. A lot of people, that's the last thing a lot of people are going to see in like 10 years.
That robot really looked like it would not have any trouble picking and placing things from the Amazon robot bins. It might be the last piece needed to turn off the air conditioners at the Amazon warehouses.
It also looked like it would have no problem picking and placing my kidneys. And the Associated Press is kind of not a ton of news here, but they're just pointing out that we are, like the slippery slope, we are already tumbling down.
U.S.-China competition to field military drone swarms could fuel a global arms race.
I mean, look at what's going on in the Middle East.
And elsewhere. The drones are useful.
It's all about robot combat. We've already entered into that world. And when you figure that out, it's easy to apply it to the public sector, right?
Walmart, the dino baby of giant multinational corporations, is even deploying robot forklifts in its distribution centers.
They point out how many forklift accidents there are. You think that'll get better with robots?
Oh, yeah. There'll be fewer people.
Well, where are those people going to go? I know. They can probably just go work at Amazon, right? That's the same kind of job. They'll already be trained for it.
Amazon grows to over 750,000 robots as world's second largest private employer replaces over 100,000 humans. Now, that's clickbait. They didn't really replace 100,000 humans. They're down 100,000 since the beginning of the pandemic. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, yes, robots replacing Amazon is going to displace a lot of people, but Amazon earnestly had already gone through a significant percentage of the U.S. population. They simply did not have humans that were capable of performing at the level required to do a job in an Amazon warehouse. I mean, most of the people that, there's a small percentage of people that their knees would just turn to powder if they operated at the level that Amazon demands.
You think some of that physical disability could be caused by, I don't know, buying that food from Amazon that's not really food?
This is just flavored cardboard paste.
Happy belly, but I don't feel happy. And NASA has confirmed shamefully they have admitted their guilt.
Object that crashed into Florida home came from the space station, NASA confirms. Although NBC News doesn't get this right. Yeah, so that metal thing was not actually part of the waste on the pallet. That was used to affix the waste to the pallet. So when they were doing the math and figuring out if this thing that they were dumping into orbit would burn up in orbit, they were exactly correct. The waste did burn up in orbit. However, the waste mounted to a pallet thing, the thing that was used to mount to a pallet, did not burn up and happened to hit somebody's house and 2 floors. So that's quite a lot of kinetic energy to destroy someone's roof and 2 floors.
Also, I don't think they mentioned anything about compensation in there.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that NASA's going to fix it.
They should take care of them. Yeah. And NASA is also having some other problems. It seems like their planning was not very good, or it could be, I don't know, maybe they made this plan before all the prices went up 50%.
We need a new plan to return rocks from Mars. So with all the robots that we've got on Mars, we've identified some samples we'd love to bring back to Earth, which may indicate fossilized or microbial life. And we need a way to do that securely and to land it in the desert in Utah. And the auditor that is auditing that plan has said, no.
11 billion.
Yeah.
It's going to take another 11 billion. Another 11 billion.
I feel like we need to get Elon on the job. He could probably do it for 5.
You know he's gonna love doing that. And a couple of people might get killed. But we'll get our rocks.
He'll do it for 5, but he'll be muttering something about cave rescue children the whole time.
And I went to the trouble of getting Black Hole Story. Chris is not even here.
Astronomers spot a massive sleeping giant black hole less than 2,000 light years from Earth. It was unexpected that it is where it is in our Milky Way galaxy, and it's larger than expected as well.
They got a comparison down here. It's pretty big. This guy right here. There's no light anywhere near it, so we've never seen it before now. It's totally stealth. It's not eating anything. It's out there starving for Krista's blood.
Yeah, I mean, it's only 2,000 light years away. It could be here, in what?
A couple of weeks, probably. We don't know how it travels. And moving on to nonsense. I mean, this is really not just nonsense, but I'm astonished by this. I guess people are starved for any kind of real entertainment in a world that's nothing but fake.
A Dungeons & Dragons actual play show is going to sell out at Madison Square Garden. This is dudes and dudettes playing Dungeons & Dragons.
I said they were comedians. I've never heard of any of them. Have you?
No. But I think the entertaining part is that you have stand-up comedians playing Dungeons & Dragons, because ordinary people playing Dungeons & Dragons, it's about as entertaining as watching ordinary people play video games.
Who says what ordinary is? Certainly this will not be an ordinary experience. Now, you might be thinking, these people are just insanely doubling down on this. No, this is actually a parody in a weird way.
Yeah.
But I think it might actually be successful because of that.
Glasgow's viral Willy Wonka experience, the one we reported on when it happened, is going to be recreated in Los Angeles. They're even flying over the sad Oompa Loompa, and they're going to give you 2 jelly beans to start.
She's going to be the star. She's become quite the celebrity from that experience. What do you think they're paying her?
Not enough.
And over in the sports world, I guess because people don't have a lot of money to throw around, they're always giving you some kind of incentive to come down to the ballpark and watch things. And in this one, the players gamed the system for the fans.
Boban Marjanovic, I don't know. He is the headline is that he intentionally misses a free throw, 2 free throws in a row, so the fans win free chicken. So that was the deal. Some chicken place said, "Hey, if the opposing team misses 2 free throws, we'll give you, free chicken." So they did.
He used to play for this city and got traded, but I guess he had good feelings for them. So he hooked them up. And this is not shocking. I feel like this is a situation that you think will get better with time, but it's gotten worse.
The headline is female Yu-Gi-Oh player quits tournament because opponents smelled bad. Yes. I know we said it before in this program, but you should bathe with soap and water every day. You probably should wash your hair every day, maybe every other day.
That's not enough. You're going to have to use some other products as well.
Yeah. Self-maintenance really is kind of a lot of maintenance. You should wash your clothes. You should only wear your clothes like one day. especially your underwear.
Even if you're traveling.
Even if you're traveling, you should wash your bedding once a week. That's the sheet, the undersheet, the bedding, like a comforter. Maybe you could make it like 2 weeks. But, let's err on the side of weekly. And you can use your brain and say, I have reasoned that I don't have to do it that much. That is incorrect, faulty reasoning. You should bathe every day with soap and water.
Now, let me tell you what those people heard. I get a better chance of winning if I don't bathe at Yu-Gi-Oh tournaments?
No, I think some people heard is like, I have a better chance of winning at life if I don't bathe every day because people don't want to put up with me. And it's like, you should bathe every day with soap and water.
Krista will discount that, but Krista's a 100-pound girl. You're not. At least not all of you.
I mean, maybe if you have some sort of fantastic hair going on, you could shampoo like every other day, but you should still at least rinse every day. I mean, come on.
I just entered this one in because I wanted to see what you do with the headline.
Ontario resident who wants both wins public funding for a unique surgery. And what's weird is the doctors said, no, we can't. This is insane. We're not going to do this. And a court has ruled, no, they should be allowed to have this.
This rabbit hole goes even deeper, but I won't talk about it here because we can't. But it turns out there's 3 options. I bet you can't think what the third one is. And this is related to what the third one is, where, the eclipse, it was a big event. And a lot of places were taking in user-generated content. And they were showing off like, oh, look at all the videos of the eclipse. We don't have to go shoot video. We'll just pull it off of TikTok or wherever. And someone slid one in on them.
Mexican news channel accidentally airs something that was decidedly not the solar eclipse. It was an eclipse, but it's not a solar eclipse. It was an anatomical eclipse.
But it actually was, you could see the sun. There was a shot, and then very slowly, the bag comes down. What a brilliant move. Whoever made that video. What a piece of trolling.
I think that should have been the guy, the laughing guy. He died, though. It was very sad.
Oh, that's sad.
The guy that,
the infectious laugh.
Yeah, that guy was amazing.
He would have loved it.
Yeah.
I'm sure. And the election is heating up. And it's getting more and more bizarre by the day, as so do the claims of the candidates.
The headline is, Biden says his uncle may have been eaten by cannibals. And you dig into it, and it's like, okay, maybe. But, that's not a thing that you can just say at something like this without following it up with a lot of explanation. Like, a lot of explanation.
Look at this. Person set on fire outside the Trump trial.
What?
So, yeah, it turns out that that story is completely false, and the people of Papua New Guinea were a little bit insulted by it.
I thought, no, he said that they found parts of the plane or something that went down.
The official record, which is apparently in
World War II or something.
They actually figured out what happened to it. It wasn't shot down. It had mechanical problems. He wasn't flying it. He was a courier, and it went down in the ocean.
Mm.
And over in Spain, this politician had an even worse time this week.
Spanish scandal. Spanish politician resigns as municipal councilor over leaked photos and videos showing him doing very bad things and offering himself and, it's very bad. Yeah, this is one that is perhaps more easily explained with emoji.
I mean, on some level, politicians should be able to explore alternative lifestyles, right? But I wouldn't vote for him.
I feel like if Dr. Manhattan were real, just instantly, it's like, why did those people get vaporized, Dr. Manhattan? Don't worry about it.
Could you eat anything at Red Lobster?
Right now, I probably could have the Cheddar Bay biscuits, just barely.
That's a lot of cheese, though, right?
Yeah, it's pushing it.
Well, might not be an issue going forward.
Red Lobster is reportedly headed for bankruptcy after losing millions on endless shrimp. Turns out the people are hungry for shrimp because there's not much else in their lives.
Turns out there's a finite number of shrimp. You're not allowed to sell them forever for free. But they also had pandemic. When was the last time you went to Red Lobster?
More than 3 years.
It's been a lot of years for me. Yeah. Anyway, you've got another excuse, but I can actually eat those fish, and I don't go there. And Tim Hortons have made a terrible mistake. They should be held responsible in some way for this, don't you think?
Customers disappointed after email listing a $60,000 Tim Hortons prize was sent in error. Oops.
So they sent you this email. They were like, oh, hey, you got a boat, a 2024 Tracker Targa. You didn't get that. A lot of people got that email. None of them got boats. And it's been a while since we've seen a gimmicky food item. This one seems poorly timed since that's already happened.
Heinz and Mattel launch a limited Barbie'cue sauce. It's pink barbecue sauce.
That's all it is. It's not a new flavor. It's just pink barbecue sauce.
This seems like we made a horrible industrial accident to the tune of like 5,000 barrels. What do we do? Oh, I got an idea. We'll solve this by just printing some new labels.
We've got this solvent that doesn't do anything but turn things pink. What can we do with it? I have an idea. Don't throw it away. And here's a bizarre one that I feel like I'm too out of touch with the Canadian political system to understand what this actually meant.
This would have gone completely differently had it been a rando. Gravy delivered to Ontario legislature sparks a police investigation. So this is one of Rob Ford's relatives. We actually mentioned him an episode or two ago.
It's his brother.
And in the mail, he received a mysterious powder. It turns out it was gravy powder, but it was a reference to one of their campaign slogans, which is "The gravy train stops here." And so another politician had mailed it to him because they had to figure that out. And then that politician was like, oh, yeah, I guess I probably shouldn't have done that because you might have misinterpreted getting a mystery powder in the mail.
Why would they be a little bit concerned about powders? Well, that when you mentioned that's this Doug Ford, Rob Ford's brother, Rob Ford being the crack-smoking mayor.
Also, there have been, some biological threats and other things. But I feel like if that had just been some rando that was, mailing him, they would have done a lot worse. But since it was another politician, it's like, oh, okay, we should just stop.
Well, I think both of the Ford brothers used the slogan, "We're ending the gravy train."
Yeah.
But then their track record maybe didn't live up to that.
In fact, they put jet fuel in the gravy train.
There may have been more gravy. And this man could have filled his entire boat up with gravy if he wanted to, but instead he chose just to sail it down the river.
Giant pumpkin paddler Adam, quite possibly the first person to float down the Tumut River in a giant pumpkin. What an amazing, seaworthy craft that is.
So he grew that massive pumpkin, and what do you do with it? You're social media famous?
Turn it into a boat, obviously.
Clearly. Can you imagine the logistics that went into getting that into the water and everything? You got to be gentle with that, right? Do you think they coated it with anything? And San Jose police are using some interesting new psychological tactics to, try to shatter your mind so you can't resist them.
The headline is, "Are there any dead babies in the car?" San Jose police audit reveals use of a controversial tactic. Because how do you respond to that? This seems like a very bad version of a skit in Super Troopers where they were saying meow instead of now, but it's dead babies.
It's much darker. And the hypocrisy of those that enforce our laws is something that I always like to point out. Now, this is a little bit older story. This is from March, but we can still celebrate it.
IRS revenue agent arrested for filing false tax returns. This was losses on an import-export business to lower their tax bracket.
A business that didn't exist. We did terribly this year. And here's one from Alaska, which Alaska being a very sensitive area for this, wouldn't you think? Because you could very easily die in Alaska just by being outside.
Supreme Court to consider outlawing sleeping outside even if no inside space is available.
What are you supposed to do in that situation? Just throw yourself in the ocean? I mean, what's the alternative here? What's the middle ground? Maybe you get arrested. And Weekend at Bernie's, right? I don't know if this girl's ever seen that movie, but she literally played it out.
Brazilian woman arrested after taking a corpse to the bank to sign for a loan. She knew he was dead.
So they describe how the bank, the bank tellers were like, I think there's something wrong with your father. And she was like, nah, he's just like that. And she was like trying to put the pen in his dead hand. Now, her defense attorney says he was alive when they went into the bank and died during the transaction.
That's a good defense. Probably not accurate, but that's a good defense.
But I feel like he would have been in a crisis that needed to be somewhere other than a bank, right?
Yeah, seems like.
And we got the flock cameras here in our town. It's disgusting. They're blanketing the country, and now there's all this new surveillance. It's all third party. It's not the actual cops. And if you need proof of that,
Photo or radar and red light cameras catch dozens of Ottawa police officers in the first 3 months of 2024. We know that from Freedom of Information requests, even though this is Ottawa, their equivalent. But nothing was done with them. It's weird.
well, some of them might have to pay it. But it goes through a review process, unlike you and I, and they decide what were the cops doing that they might have needed to be doing those things. If the lights aren't on, you shouldn't be driving like that, right? That seems like an open and shut case. And it's interesting how when the feds catch somebody, but they feel like they want to go after the bigger fish, they will let them do basically whatever they want. So licensed to just do crimes, and who cares about the citizens?
Meth distributor working with the feds remained free, at least until they executed somebody. Or they led somebody to a Sinaloa executor, I guess. I guess they weren't directly responsible, but they were indirectly responsible. And it's like, I don't know if we can do this.
So, yeah.
This is some Breaking Bad stuff right here.
That guy was on the phone. They heard the shot. I think it was 911. So they could have prevented that death by just prosecuting that girl. But no, they wanted to work with her. Let her keep selling meth. Probably some of that went to this girl.
Woman named Crystal Methvin arrested for, you guessed it, crystal meth.
Now it's hard to get a handle on age. They didn't say the age in the article. I don't think. What do you like? Because meth, that'll mess with the estimate. What do you think? Like she's in her 30s,
60.
But I'm trying to think what year was she born? Because meth would have already been a known thing, right?
Oh yeah, this is like a second generation kind of a problem. I don't know.
But why would you name your kid Crystal? I don't know. Maybe they loved it. And here's one that I really just cannot fathom. And it was a poor old lady.
Man arrested after a woman says that he used her car in a way that you cannot use a car for 3 years. Like I had more questions than answers after this story, and I just had to, I don't know.
She said she put up cameras and he would just come and move the cameras because she was old and she couldn't really.
I was like, what's going on with my car?
Yeah. And so there'd been some fluids on it. But the cops, when they found out about it eventually, they put up their own camera. Sure enough, that's what he was doing. They got him.
Yeah, the cops were almost like, this has got to be some crazy old lady. This story cannot be real, right? Turns out, no. The lady she understood exactly what was happening, as it turns out.
As I think the architects for this building also understood. How could you not?
That looks like a sanitary pad. So the people in China are laughing at this one because they're saying, well, it doesn't exactly look like a futuristic building. It looks like something else.
It's supposed to be some kind of flower petal, which apparently has the same design. But yeah, it's immediately noticeable. I mean, the wings. They also point out this, which they call the boxer short building, because I guess that's supposed to be like a butt with legs. At least their architects are doing interesting things, right?
Everything, it doesn't look like the same 5-track homes.
And I guess it's an Olympics year, Summer Olympics. And so we're rolling out the new outfits, and they are a little skimpy.
There's some quotes in here with the Guardian headline. U.S. Olympian slammed Nike for its skimpy women's track kit. They would like some more coverage, please. Please, sirs, may I have more fabric?
And the women point out, like, if this were, like, peak performance gear, why aren't the men wearing this as well? I don't know. Do you have to wear the official outfit?
That's probably an engagement challenge. We're probably going to get somebody that's like, oh, yeah, I worked on the Olympics in 87, and you were disqualified if you were out of uniform. It's like, holy crap.
Because it's Nike.
Yeah.
That's disgusting that the corporate power runs everything down to amateur Olympic sports. Now I thought here, I was like, I read the headline. I was like, how are these birds going to do it? And it turns out they're not really like actually dealing with that problem. They're solving the root problem here.
Trained birds hired to take on downtown poop ahead of NFL draft in Detroit. Basically, to keep the pigeons away, we need birds that eat pigeons, and then the pigeons will stay away. And that's the best way to get rid of pigeons.
But how do we get rid of the pigeon corpses?
Well, the birds, there's not that many predatory birds. They're not, it's not pigeon carnage. Just the fact that they're there mean that the pigeons will stay away.
And that's the same is true for snakes in terms of trains.
Snake on a train delays Japanese bullet service, which is quite an accomplishment. They are very serious about making sure those trains run on time.
It was a 40-centimeter snake, so
17-minute holdup. And this was national news in Japan. That should tell you something.
it's definitely a different society over there. Meanwhile, on our streets,
Mammoth mayhem, an elephant has escaped a circus and roams the Montana streets. Just wanted some freedom.
circuses are kind of antiquated, don't you think? We should be done with circuses.
Apparently the elephant's handler was chasing it the whole way. The elephant just didn't want any part of it. The elephant wanted to go on an adventure. Elephant needs a little adventure every now and then.
I want to be around other elephants. But they got him. He's back in captivity. Poor guy. And let's get a round of applause. I don't really know why we have... Like, how many years in a row can you run this? How many different types can you actually have?
Earthworm crowned UK Invertebrate of the Year by Guardian readers. Participants were surprised that the bumblebee, I think it was a bumblebee, lost out. Because usually some type of bumblebee or other cute insect wins. But in this year, it was the earthworm.
Earthworm's a real utility player. Salt of the earth, earthworms. And, you probably shouldn't have octopus in your home, right?
Because they're intelligent.
Put them in a tank. They probably experience that, although the elephants probably do too. But this kid really wanted one.
Family accidentally ends up with 50 baby octopuses after their pet, thought to be male, laid dozens of eggs. Oops.
That's such a feel-good story, right? 50 little babies, and they're going to give them away. 24 are still alive.
Yeah.
Those things do not survive in captivity. You shouldn't have octopus in your house. Unless it's a plush one. And finally, this did not end in arrest. I would love to see the conversation that went down here.
Wild goose chase gets a happy ending after birds stolen from Texas Park have been found.
So they actually captured the moment of the abduction of the birds. This woman went in and just grabbed a couple of them. What are they thinking? She took them home. They went and found her, and they were like, hey, they got to come back. And I guess she was just fine with it.
It's like, I thought they were unhappy at the park with all the other birds.
The special place that was built just for them.
They were unharmed. No harm, no foul, I guess.
There could be some mental scarring.
Stern talking to.
Probably a trespass from the park from now on.
Maybe we can get the last two stories together and teach the birds to somehow raise the octopus.
I think that would have a different outcome. Like, oh, baby octopus, you say?
What a culinary delight.
I've never had this before.
That's it. That's another week.
Hopefully next week we'll get some Krista. She'll be over her horrible event. And she can tell us all about it.
She's vacationing from her vacation this week.
She's vacationing from reality today.
All right, we'll see you next week. Once again, bye.